Namaste. And good morning, and guten morgen, and buenos dias, and ni hao, and salamat pagi. We use different words and gestures around the world, but the intent is the same. It's a greeting. So I've spent the last 26 years of my career trying to figure out if people think about investments the same way around the world. So let me start by sharing a few real people, some of their stories, and we'll start talking about some of the research that my company's done that I'm personally interested in, and I want to share with you to help you grow your businesses over the next years and decades. So let me introduce Jennifer. Jennifer is from Guatemala. In this picture is her mom and her aunt, some of the two most influential people to her from an investment standpoint and how she's living her life. So she was born and raised in Guatemala. Both parents worked, but her family lived below the poverty line for all of her life. She recalls that her mom taught her an important lesson and said, you always have to put money away. The way her mom did that was every time she had a Guatemalan peso or a US dollar, she would either put it in the freezer or in a coat pocket in the closet. The reason she did that was because the crime was so bad at that point in time in Guatemala that was the only way they could actually keep the money safe. Her mom also said education is the way to break the poverty. So Jennifer opens a bank account, started a job, and soon found herself in college. In order to go to college, she actually had to borrow so much money and have such big loans. But her mom always said, always put a little back, save a little bit of money. Now, I didn't ask her this question when I interviewed her, but she said that she didn't spend all the loan money. She kept some of that back. I suspect some of that would have actually been in a coat pocket in a closet somewhere, or actually in the freezer. Her mom was such a big influence in her life that I bet she would have done that. Her first investment was when she began working and putting money into an employer's retirement plan. She didn't know how to allocate the money. She took a quiz, said she was very conservative, and that's how she invested. In fact, when we talked, she said, I'm not even sure how I have my money invested today. I think it's the same as it was 20 years ago. That conversation prompted her to actually go back and look 20 years later. She understands how conservative she is. She also understands how that could limit her growth. And that's a big concern for her. She understands, and to even Prem's point, she understands, she knows, but she's not quite sure what to do with it. The emotion of growing up actually is getting in her way. She's actually since opened up retail mutual funds for her children. She has other financial products such as life insurance, disability insurance, and health insurance. She learned how to save from her mom, but she didn't learn how to invest. She's had to teach herself that over time. In fact, her mom never actually learned how to invest, so now Jennifer is actually spending time with her mom trying to teach her how to do that. She also made a comment to me. She said, in Guatemala, Randy, family is so important. My mom taught me early on that parents will take care of their children when they're young, and the children have to take care of their parents when they're old. So Jennifer's not only saving for her kids, she's also saving for her own retirement and for her mom's retirement. Two takeaways from this story is she never had any education around investments, and she's way too conservative to actually deliver the returns that she needs. She's now talking to an advisor who is talking her through how to invest a little more aggressively. But the advisor has to be careful because her background is very, very conservative. And if they demonstrate or advise too much risk, they risk actually losing her trust. So that's Jennifer. Rajesh and his wife. Rajesh is from Hyderabad, grew up in a low-income family as well. His family was very focused on education. And they even said parents want their kids to have a better standard of living than they did. And his parents told him that education was the way to do that. So he started working in Hyderabad, but he realized he needed more education. So he told me with $100 US in his pocket and a one-way ticket to the US, he went to study abroad. He not only got his bachelor's degree, but he actually got his master's degree as well. Very conservative, no financial education, so when he started his first job, he got into the employer's retirement plan and invested. Wasn't even sure what he was doing at that point in time. He recalls a lesson that his parents taught him, and it was all about money and money management. He said, every time I asked them for something, they said, we don't have any money. He said, that was a very valuable lesson. I realized it took money to actually buy things. I didn't realize that as a kid, and now I do. But he also understood financial literacy was very important, and that's something that he and his family did not actually have. And there's me. You might see me standing up here with a certain title from a Fortune 500 company. I actually grew up in a very low-income family in the United States. My dad was a carpenter. My mom stayed home taking care of my brother and me. Our money conversations at home were all about how to pay our bills, nothing about investing. My first job, my first dollar, I put in a jar. I then got a savings account, went to school. I was the first one in my entire extended family to ever go to college. Started my first job, I took the financial quiz. I found out I'm fairly conservative. I don't know what that meant, but I invested. 23 years old, I invested in my first mutual fund. The reason I invested in it, because a friend at work said, I've been investing in this fund for several years. It's been delivering a great return. Great return, I invested. It started losing money. I sold. Welcome to Investing 101, Randy Bachman. You just did exactly what you were not supposed to do, correct? Bought at the wrong time, and I sold at the wrong time. So that was my first education into investing. I also have several advisors. Not one of them is actually putting together a holistic plan for me. They try to sell me products. The insurance guy tells me I need more insurance. I don't need more insurance. Mutual fund guy says, I have the greatest fund for you right now. I need one who actually does holistic planning, and we'll talk about that because other customers and investors around the world are saying similar things. So let's talk about from a very high-level perspective. One of the things I wanted to understand are consumers first before we go into investors. Gartner Research did a few things that I thought really important for our conversation today. How are consumers feeling around the world? So the line is the average. You can see some of those are pessimists. On the left, optimists. Look what I circled. Everybody here is feeling pretty good. They're even feeling better about next year. Which again, back to the emotions. We always feel there's something better down the road. History, maybe not so great. Today, not so great. Tomorrow holds a lot of hope. How about financial security and stability? They're feeling pretty good, but there's a lot on that side from insecurity and instability. What about over here? Notice who I circled. Again, very interesting trends emerging out of this study. So I thought, what are they buying? As you can expect, and a lot of as your customers are probably telling you, they're starting to look more for experiences rather than things. Major travel, it's going up. Cars, actually in India, even higher index. Now, they want transportation, but they want the experience of a car. They want to go see things. They want to be able to get around. Homes and renovation, still going up, but still much smaller than the experience. And I'm starting to see that around the world. That experience is very, very important, and that's becoming one of the goals that you're probably all starting to see as you're doing the goal-based investing. Now, this next one probably will not make me very popular, except for the fact that India is a very high usage of advisors. I showed this because I think this is fascinating. First of all, India is in a great place. There's some other countries. You can see the global average, less usage in some of these countries. Here are the reasons why people give for not using an advisor. Understand this because there's a great story to be told about, yes, your finances may be simple early on. If an advisor was working with me when I was right out of college, they wouldn't have wanted to talk to me at all. I didn't have anything to invest. I had student loans. Today, I have very complex finances that, frankly, I don't have time to spend with. So I might have started out that my finances are pretty simple, but they've become more and more complex. Enjoy managing my own finances. Our studies are actually showing that they don't want to manage them, they just want to be able to have some control over them. They want help. One of the most fascinating slides from Vanguard Advisors shows the value of an advisor. You all can add almost 3% in net returns because of your expertise, your behavioral coaching, your rebalancing, the things that you do. So let me go back to this slide. The third one on here is cannot afford a financial advisor. I would submit to you, because of this, they can't afford not to have an advisor. They need you, but you need to be telling the story and understand what's in their heads, where they're going, and we'll talk about that here shortly. So we spent some time across 20 different countries talking to investors. So we're moving from consumers now into actual investors, people who have put money into different financial products. We learned 7 top things that I'll share with you. Number 1 at the top of their list is risk and volatility aversion. It's real. People around the world are seeking to mitigate that volatility. The word that we heard the most was consistency. Very, very powerful word from all of our investors that we talked with. Number 2, investors will still pay. They still have a need and they'll pay for investment support and expertise if they see value. Critical to actually explain and show them value. Third, customization is critical to success. Humans have similar needs. Think about Jennifer, Rajeshs, and me. 3 different places on this planet. 3 very different birthrights, how we lived our lives. But we had very common needs, right? We wanted to do better. We wanted the next generation to do better. We were united in that. Customization is critical to success, but investors want or need local customization. So very common needs, but they need that local flavor as well. Number 4, investors are hunting for yield. They understand they need returns on these investments. They are saving for goals. They understand the needs might differ. I'm older, I'm younger, I'm saving for retirement, I'm saving for a car, I'm saving for a travel experience. Number 5, simple and clear differentiators. This one sounds simple. Think about how we talk as an industry across this world about what we do. We are not simple, we are complex. We talk about all these big words and all these things. We hand them pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of fact sheets and prospectus and information and say, read this. They need our help. They're looking for us to make things simple for them and help them understand how it fits their needs and what they're trying to do. Short-term performance has become more and more relevant. A long-term story still resonates, but they also want to see short-term results. Generations coming up are very, very focused in today. And finally, solutions. Investors are concerned more about just beating the benchmark. They want something more. They want something that's actually going to generate returns because that's how they get to their goals. So benchmark is fine, but they want to understand that you're providing a solution to them to help them with their goals. So more of what we heard. People want control, but they also want help. I'm interested in finances, but I'm not even really sure where to start. What a great opportunity for an advisor to get in there to say, I can help you start. I can help you figure this out. Here's some additional words we heard as far as what people want from their advisor and their financial institution. They want that clarity. They want us to have the utmost integrity and customer focus, and ultimately they want us to solve their problems. They don't want products. They know those are part of the equation and part of the deal. They want solutions first. The products come later. So let me take this down a little bit further now. We also spent time with investors in India. Let me tell you what they said. This is fascinating, and actually is very similar to some of the things we just talked about. So first of all, financial attitudes. 90% of the Indian investors we talked to said, I want to feel in control of my financial decisions, yet they value professional guidance. What a great opportunity to partner up with an investor, a customer, and help them solve their problems. Many consumers in India believe finances and financial planning are complex and uninteresting. We think it's cool. We do this stuff all the day. We love doing this. They don't care. They don't find it interesting. They want to make sure that their money is working for them, and that's about it. Consumers in India, the attribute most important in an ideal financial services provider is reliability. They said that word more than any other word. They also used a few things like providing expert guidance, being straightforward, acting with integrity, and focus on long-term success. Personalized and customized, they want financial options based on how that's going to help them reach their goals, not a list of products, is what they said. Simplifying the complex, they want open and clear communication, easy to understand expectation in everyday terms, and someone that can provide clear, overall picture of their financial situation. That's what they're looking for. They express strong interest in receiving regular analysis from their situation, and if things change in their lives, they hope you as their advisor are there to help them and guide them through that, because they don't understand, they don't know. They're probably dealing with something for the first time, maybe having their first child. They're trying to figure that out, let alone trying to figure out what kind of financial products they need at that point in time. Engaging to take action, they want help making those decisions and moving forward. They really need that help. They're looking for it. And then finally, making the pursuit of financial health easier and more doable. They want a customized plan. They want it targeted to them. And at the end of the day, what brings all these people together around the world is this simple statement. They want a better life, not just better finances. Finances are part of their world, the part of their life, but that's it. They're a piece. They want a better life, and that's how they're using these solutions. So let's talk about that, what that means for you. There's some opportunities in there. You think back to Jennifer, Rajeshs, and me. What is the first thing we didn't have? We didn't even know where to start, how to talk about these products or solutions, how they even fit. I submit to you that if you would take the time to actually have a seminar with individuals and maybe even pull in teenage kids to talk about things like budgeting and how they can afford to go to college and some of the terms that they might hear, that will help them, because right now it's their parents giving them that guidance. And I can tell you, my parents were in no position to give me any kind of guidance about money. They could barely pay their own bills, let alone telling me how to invest or what I needed to do. Spend some time, make that investment. That will pay off long term. Holistic planning, I mentioned this a few times. They're not looking for just product pushers. I've actually had several of the advisors that I've talked to around the world say, I am trying to move from product pushing, they've actually used that term, to actually a holistic planner. Same with solutions versus products. Put it all together. Actually, you can probably use multiple products to build a bigger solution, not just best fund of the day, highest return, whatever it might be. You're building a solution, and that might be a package or a bundle of several mutual funds. Risk assessment, we all know what it is. We do a good job talking about it. But Jennifer is a great example. If somebody just said, Jennifer, you're conservative, they'd put her in conservative funds, and away she'd go. They wouldn't understand why she was conservative. It was her upbringing. It was the money in the freezer. It was the money in the coat pockets. You would have to help her move along the risk continuum, probably fairly slowly. So understand the why behind the risk assessment. And finally, goal-based investing. It's very important to focus on those goals. I read something just this week from Morningstar, and they said 73% of people can't name their top financial goals. This kind of stops dead in its tracks. If 73% of people can't even name their goal, if we're saying we're going to help you reach those goals, but they don't know what they are. So I'd ask you to back up and help them understand those. Give them a list to choose from. Tell them what others like them might be focusing on and see if those make sense for them. Get them talking through that, engage them, and find out what those goals are. You'll have a long-term client and be able to put a long-term package of solutions together for them. Finally, keep in mind what they value the most, the words that they told us around the world, including right here in India. Trust and confidence is number one thing that they look for. If they can trust you, they will listen to you. I find this fascinating because how many people use something like a TripAdvisor before they take a vacation? Anybody use TripAdvisor? How many talk to people like friends and family before you take a trip? Get their input and insight. How about something like a cell phone? Do you talk to anybody about cell phone? Raise your hands if you talk to somebody. We trust other people, but they have to be close to us. We have to know. TripAdvisor's great, but what if somebody in your family says this is a better place to go? You will trust that. So keep that in mind. Danyavad, danke, terima kasih, gracias, sheshe, and thank you for your time.